It may be difficult to see right now, but there is a big one in there. Welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. On today's video, we have got two front feet to work on. First this right front, and then on the second cow, it's her left front. Now I know what you're thinking as you watch me start this trim. You can see that black mark and the white line, but that is not where I pointed, is it? Well, just wait. So once again with this one, it's pretty plain to see where that black mark and the white line is, where that defect in the white line is, right? But the lesion's not there. It's going to be higher. And I know that already. I knew that at the beginning of the video based on how these things develop inside that claw. I could see the flaw in the white line, but knowing that that's going to grow out over time, that lesion then is going to be up higher. As we start to work on this, you're going to start to see that shading develop, and eventually you'll see where that lesion is. It's actually higher than where we are right now. You'll notice all that redness in the white line as well. So what that is saying, or what that's telling us, is that the pedal bone inside the foot, that's the bone that transfers the weight of that cow to the hoof capsule itself. The way that it's suspended in there is by a series of little, almost like fibers, tendrils. They're called laminae. And what they do is support the weight of that, or transfer the weight from the pedal bone to that outside wall of the cow's hoof. And then ultimately, then the weight will be then transferred to the sole as it makes ground contact. But when we see that redness, what it's saying is there's inflammation of that support mechanism, of those lamina are not able to support that weight. They're stressed, and that allows then that pedal bone to move more as she's taking steps, which then causes trauma to the corium underneath. That's ultimately why we end up with a lesion. It's not pressure from the bottom, from the sole going into the corium. It's actually the pressure from the pedal bone inside the foot having more movement pushing down on the corium that causes that. So we end up with a lesion that we have to trim out and get to heal. By balancing this foot up, we're able to disperse those weights or redistribute those weights evenly in the claws. And if we can do that, then we don't have excess pressure, right? We're able to minimize these effects. Now, in this case, we're going to use a block to take the pressure off of this. But in a normal foot, the way we prevent this is by keeping those claws balanced up. And once again, today we have a squeaky fan to deal with, but we're just going to have to put up with it because we can't turn the fans off. It's about 90 degrees, or was on this day, so those fans need to be running to keep those cows cool. However, this fan definitely needs some belt conditioner. Now, if you're wondering why I trimmed up into the heel bulb on this particular cow, it's because I know that that separation is going to go all the way up there. Typically, I'm not going to trim in that area. That's an area that's used for cushioning for that cow. It's not normal hoof horn that we would need to remove. That's actually like a shock absorber for the hoof. So I'm not going to typically trim up in there. But because I knew that this was separated and that that horn was loose, that's why I worked my way up there. Sometimes the lesion will cause the entire sole to separate, and other times it's not, and that's what happened here. So because it didn't totally separate, we've got all these little edges that I need to work around. And what I'm doing is just following along with the hook of my knife, working my way down those edges, making sure that we thin the margins as we go and removing any of the loose horn around them. It's not a perfectly flat sole that I need to just lift away. That's not how this one is. It's released in certain parts, so I'm just taking off those loose edges. I spray it down as I go just to define those edges a little clearer so I know what to remove and what to leave. This darker area here is just some staining on that new hoof horn there. This area here, that is where the lesion is. You can see right around these edges. I got to do some trimming there yet. But first, we're going to get a block on that other claw. Now, if you've ever wondered, what is that green thing that he sticks between the claws sometimes? That is just a used mixing tip for my block glue. What this is a mixing tip that takes those two parts of that adhesive, mixes them together inside that tube, and when it comes out then on the block, that chemical reaction is beginning. I put that block onto the claw, and because those two parts are mixed now, that will firm up and become a nice hard surface for that block to stick to. But it's also going to firm up in that mixing tip, so I have to discard it. Here you can zoom in, you can see that lesion a little bit, you can see the little loose bits there that I got to take away yet, and you can see the extent of that lesion. So we're going to get that cleaned up, and then we're going to get this wrap on, and we'll move on to cow number 2. The corium in this area is not in the best shape, so I'm really trying to clean that area really well. This is where the salicylic acid is going to come into play and really help to heal this one. The exfoliant properties or capabilities of salicylic acid is what's going to kind of lift away some of this corium that's not in the best shape. That's going to allow the corium beneath it, the tissues around it, to really start to become revitalized and then be able to heal and produce a brand new layer of hoof horn in that area. Because we got that nice and cleaned out, that salicylic acid on there, that should heal up pretty quickly. She had a little bit of digital dermatitis on her back foot, so we got that wrapped as well. So I'll be showing off both of her wraps as she strolls away. Now, on to cow number 2, and this one is a bit different. Now with this one, you might see me remove that big slab in one shot and wonder, now the last trim you took little slivers and you took your time and it took a long time to remove all that loose horn. Here you're taking big swipes and being able to remove that all in one shot. How come? It's because I can clearly see where this separation was. When you have that nice separation at the heel, I can get my knife up behind that and take that all off in one shot. I know that I don't have anything to worry about when I do that. When you're dealing with small areas of separation or thin layers of separation, tight to lesions, that's where you have to be more careful because you don't know what's going to be underneath it. Here, that was clearly defined separation, so I can take it all off in one shot. What led to that separation is located right in the center of this claw, which is actually an odd place to find this issue. Now, typically if it was a sole ulcer, you'd find that more toward the inner part of the claw. This one here is located almost dead center. So likely what happened here is she must have stepped on a rock or something that punctured through that sole. And what's left now is a little bit of lesion with some digital dermatitis on it. So we're gonna get this all trimmed away and then we're gonna treat this one as well. You see this lesion is much smaller than that last one we worked on, but yet still in a sensitive spot. So we gotta get it all fixed up. Once again, that darker mark below the lesion is just some staining. I don't need to remove any more hoof horn there Otherwise, I'll make that sole thinner than I want it. So I just leave it be. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just a different color. That's simply it. We get a block on this other claw, and then we'll treat that once again with some salicylic acid to get that dermatitis to go away. Dermatitis is a pesky little thing, because if we don't get that if we don't kill the bacteria that are on that lesion will continue to stay open. Those little spirochetes work their magic on that and keep that area open and keep it from healing and allowing it to produce the hoof horn that the cow needs to walk on. So we kill that bacteria. That will then heal up the way it's supposed to. She's walking on the block the way we want her to. So she is done.